Hello and good morning. My name is Oliver Casey and I am here to talk to you about my exhibit for the polar bear to be housed at Taronga Zoo. I'll be speaking about factors of polar bear's life, including welfare, adaptations and lifestyle, as well as how my enclosure creates a realistic environment for the polar bear to live in. I will also be talking to you about how the needs and safety of the zookeepers can be met and how the visitors can watch and interact in the safest way possible with the animals. Polar bears are only found in the Arctic. They live in typically cold countries that ring the Arctic Circle, like Canada, Russia, Alaska, Greenland, and Norway. They cannot usually survive in warmer climates. The way a polar bear lives in the Arctic Circle is truly amazing. The lifestyle of the polar bear is so different to ours. The polar bear are at the top of the Arctic food chain, mostly because they eat almost everything in the Arctic they can find, and are great predators. The polar bear is great at surviving in their harsh environment. Polar bears have adapted to the cold climate in many ways over time. To keep from freezing, polar bears have 2 coats of fur and a thick layer of blubber to help insulate their bodies from the cold, keeping its temperature at around 37 degrees Celsius, even in the cold weather. Their white fur helps them blend in with the snow and ice, preventing them from being spotted by potential predators or threats. And fur even grows on the bottom of their paws, which protects against cold surfaces and provides a good grip on ice. I will now show the polar bear enclosure that I have designed for Taronga Zoo. The welfare of polar bears that are usually kept in zoos is not so great. When kept in captivity, they are not in their natural habitat. This can affect them in many different ways. For example, polar bears live in icy climates, and when kept in zoos, the needs of the bears cannot be met. Most zoos are unable to provide sufficient amounts of ice and snow for the bears to thrive, and this can seriously impact them, as their bodies have adapted to much colder conditions. However, my enclosure prevents this. As it has replicated the habitat and conditions that the polar bears live in, it takes into context and well-being and welfare of the animal, and this meets all the needs that they have. The large amounts of ice and snow and water, combined with the cooling machine, allows the bears to thrive in their natural habitat. The polar bears are fed a meat-based carnivore diet and fish about 3 times a day. To ensure the safety of the zookeepers, my model is dug deep in the ground, so the polar bears cannot escape. The zookeepers do not need to go into the enclosure, as it can be viewed from above ground, and food can be thrown into the enclosure. The viewing platform of the enclosure is above ground, while the actual habitat is below ground. The visitors will be able to view the animals from the platform, and their safety is not at risk, as the enclosure is too high for the polar bears to climb out of. To conclude my proposal, I believe that my polar bear enclosure meets the animals' needs by providing large amounts of ice, snow, and water. It also meets the needs of the zookeepers and visitors by having the enclosure dug deep into the ground so the polar bears can't escape, and so that the safety of the visitors and zookeepers is not at risk. The visitors can interact and watch the animals from a safe distance using the viewing platform above ground. It takes into context the animals' well-being and welfare, and the research done on the adaptations and lifestyle helps the enclosure to be a suitable environment for the animals to thrive.